Judgment has been given, and we are okay with the judgment.
Code of Conduct Tribunal orders the immediate removal of Justice Walter Onnoghen from office, confiscates all monies in the undeclared accounts to the federal government.
I wish us, Nigerian workers, the best of luck.
President Muhammadu Buhari signs into law the new minimum wage, urges workers to reciprocate with hard work.
To hold firmly to faith in the things he said and the things that he did.
And as Christians mark Holy Thursday, which leads to Easter events, President Buhari emphasizes on virtues of love, sacrifice and endurance as demonstrated by Jesus Christ. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on Network News. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja. Also joining me tonight on the news is Michael Olale in Lagos, and in Kaduna we have Rukaya Umar Farouk. The Code of Conduct Tribunal has found the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onnoghen, guilty of all the 6 charges of false assets declaration. As a result, he is to vacate office as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, forfeit all the monies in the undeclared accounts to the federal government, and is banned from holding public office for the next 10 years. The judgment was handed down by the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Nladi Umar. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewu reports.
After 4 months of trial on a 6-count charge of false assets declaration, Justice Walter Onnoghen's fate concerning those charges has now been determined by the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Chairman of the tribunal, Danladi Umar, who read the judgment, adopted the position and arguments of the prosecution, holding that Justice Walter Onnoghen was in breach of the Code of Conduct for public officers by not fully declaring his assets and then admitting to forgetting to so do. But before pronouncing this judgment, the tribunal first had to determine the issues of jurisdiction, which he assumed by reversing the tribunal's earlier position in the case of Justice Sylvester Nguta, a Supreme Court justice who was brought also for assets declaration. The chairman also declined to recuse himself in the case, saying he had no conflict of interest since the EFCC had withdrawn the charges filed against him. With these 2 issues cleared, the tribunal then passed its sentence on Justice Onnoghen.
We shall avail ourselves of all the processes, the hierarchy of the judiciary.
Judgment has been given, and we are okay with the judgment.
Here we go again with history being made at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, and in the effort to ensure that there is probity in public office, with Justice Walter Onnoghen being told to vacate office and then forfeit the items in his account which he failed to declare to the federal government of Nigeria. In Abuja, Femi Okewu, NTA News.
And in this next report, Delia Tumbi takes a look at the trial of Justice Onnoghen that lasted 4 months, with the adoption of the final addresses of both parties on the 15th of April 2019 at the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
Justice Walter Samuel Nkanu Onnoghen was born on 22nd December 1950 in Okurike, in Biase local government area of Cross River State, where he had his elementary education between 1959 and 1965. He thereafter proceeded to Accra in Ghana, where he obtained his post-primary education and A-level certificates. Justice Onnoghen obtained his LLB certificate from University of Ghana in 1977 and was at the Nigerian Law School, where he had his BL in 1978. The jurist commenced his law practice as a pulpit state counsel in 1978 in the State Ministry of Justice, Ikeja, Lagos, where he was till 1979 before commencing his private practice. Justice Onnoghen got appointed to the bench in 1989 as a High Court judge under the employment of the Cross River State Judiciary. Between 1989 and 2005, Justice Onnoghen served on the bench of the Court of Appeal. He was appointed to the Supreme Court bench in 2005 and was appointed as the 15th Chief Justice of Nigeria in 2017, having acted between November 2016 and March 2017. Due to alleged false declaration of assets, Justice Onnoghen was arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal by the Code of Conduct Bureau on January 14, 2019 on a 6-count charge. This arraignment generated a lot of comments, with efforts made in various courts to seek orders to stop the trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal for lack of jurisdiction. While this was on, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, following unexpected application, issued an order for the suspension of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Onnoghen, an order President Muhammadu Buhari carried out on the 25th January 2019, pending the determination of the matter. The Court of Appeal in its verdict put the issue at rest by restating the original jurisdiction of Code of Conduct Tribunal to adjudicate on matters relating to asset declaration. This paved way for the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria to appear before the Code of Conduct Tribunal on Friday, 15 February 2019, where he entered a plea of not guilty on the 6-count charge preferred against him. His arraignment after 5 previous failed arraignments as a result of his absence gave the prosecution counsel, Ali Umar SAN, the opportunity to open his case. After his no guilty plea, counsel to the defendant Chris Uche, SAN, applied for his bail, an application which the prosecution counsel did not oppose. The CCT chairman, Daladi Umar, granted Justice Onnoghen bail on self-recognizance. The prosecution counsel, led by Ali Umar SAN, called 3 prosecution witnesses and thereafter closed his case on Friday, 22nd March 2019. The defense counsel, led by Adegboyega Awomolo SAN, entered a no-case submission which the tribunal ruled against. This verdict from the Code of Conduct Tribunal made the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Onnoghen, to open his defense.
The issue of jurisdiction is raised. It must be determined before any other thing is done. And much more so, the motion that challenges his impartiality to continue with this matter, that's the one for him to recuse himself, is a threshold motion that he ought to deal with first.
The first time that a court said I will reserve my ruling on challenging my jurisdiction until I'm delivering the judgment.
On 3rd April 2019, Justice Onnoghen then closed his defense after calling only one witness. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Well, joining me now is a legal practitioner, Sunusi Musa. Thanks for being with us on Network News.
Thanks, David.
Well, the Code of Conduct Tribunal has just passed a verdict of guilty on Justice Walter Onnoghen. Now, in assuming jurisdiction, the CCT says judicial officers who appear before it are there as public officers,
yes,
and not judicial officers. What's the implication of that on the fight against corruption?
The implication of that is that, previously in the case of there was a judgment of the Court of Appeal in the case of a judge of the Federal High Court who raised an issue of preliminary objection at the Lagos State High Court that he cannot be tried for corruption because he is a judicial officer. He must first be subjected to the jurisdiction of the NJC. It's after NJC takes a decision, then the courts will take it will now proceed to determine his guilt or otherwise. That motion was overruled by the State High Court, which the Court of Appeal upheld. In the case of Justice Unguta, who was standing trial before the CCT, a motion was brought and challenging jurisdiction of the CCT using that decision of the Court of Appeal. At that time, in the wisdom of the CCT, it says yes, it has no jurisdiction to entertain until after NJC decide on the case of a judicial officer. But I think it was an oversight because a judicial officer who is subject to the jurisdiction of the NJC, but where he breached code of conduct, the only place you take such person is to take him to the Code of Conduct Tribunal. That section 158 of the Constitution is clear. when CCB, Code of Conduct Bureau, investigate any issue or breach of the Code of Conduct for public officers, where it will refer its finding to is Code of Conduct Tribunal.
All right. Okay, the charges against him, none of them disclosed the amount of monies in the accounts that he did not declare.
Yeah.
Now that judgment has been given and he's to forfeit those monies to the federal government, would it be necessary now to know how much is in those accounts?
Yes, I think the charges, the account in this judgment, the court is not saying the amount, but those particular accounts in their entirety, because the trial before the CCT, what people failed to understand, it is not whether he owns 100 million in the account or not. He refused to declare, or that he failed to declare those accounts as of 2014 when he made his declaration. So that is an omission on his part. And, under paragraph 18 of the 5th schedule of the Constitution is one of the punishments that the Code of Conduct Tribunal is empowered to give, to remove a particular public officer from office, ban him from holding office for public office for 10 years, and also forfeit all those assets that he failed to declare. So the amount there, of course, since they are going to be forfeited to the federal government, for the sake of accountability, the public ought to know how much that is in those account that is being transferred to the federal government.
Well, now that the CCT has pronounced him guilty, what are the options available to Justice Onnoghen?
The option available to him is to file an appeal before the Court of Appeal as provided by the provision of the Constitution. That's so that he can challenge the decision of the CCT, and if in the wisdom of the Court of Appeal they find his appeal has a merit, it can reverse the decision of the CCT. But for now, as it stands, Justice Onnoghen stands removed from office, and the implication of that is that he has lost all the privileges that is attached to the office of a retired Chief Justice of Nigeria or a retired Justice of the Supreme Court.
What's the input of all of this on serving public officers, not just judicial officers alone?
The input is that public officers must now take the issue of declaration of asset as a serious issue. Unlike before, where everybody just go with his duty without doing that. Now it is shown that not doing that is a serious offense. And I think the government must do everything possible to empower the Code of Conduct Bureau to carry out its constitutional duty, because once the Code of Conduct Bureau is empowered, it has all the wherewithal to carry out its duty. You don't need any other anti-corruption agency like ICPC and EFCC. It is enough to do all that and prosecute people before the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
All right, Sunusi Musa, legal practitioner, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Right. In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has formally assented to the Minimum Wage Repeal and Reenactment Act 2019. This makes it compulsory for all employers of labor in Nigeria to pay their workers a minimum of 30,000 naira monthly salary. State House correspondent Adam Sambu reports.
At a brief but remarkably significant event, President Muhammadu Buhari performs his constitutional responsibility of signing into law the new National Minimum Wage Act. Least paid worker in Nigeria is now entitled to nothing less than 30,000 naira as monthly salary.
I expect them to be more committed to their work, whichever it is, whichever level. I would like them, with the cooperation of Nigerian Labour Congress, to look at the economic situation of the country, the population we have, the poor infrastructure that we are trying to do now in terms of roads, rail, and power. So I wish us, Nigerian workers, the best of luck.
You can see me smiling on behalf of Nigerian workers.
Giving further details on the act, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Ita Enang, said workers paid less than 30,000 naira have the right to sue their employers towards recovering the balance.
It also ensures and mandates the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission and the Minister of Labour to be the chief and principal enforcers of the provisions of this law. And this law applies to all agencies and persons and bodies throughout the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Although implementation can be done gradually, the new National Minimum Wage Act takes immediate effect.
I want Nigerian workers to celebrate President Muhammadu Buhari, to support this administration, support his policies. This is Mr. President's action showing love he has for workers, covered by the Act.
Thank you very much.
The last time the national minimum wage was reviewed in Nigeria was in the year 2011. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Well, Nigerians have been reacting to the new minimum wage signed into law by the president. Ruth Agwele sampled some opinions on the streets of Abuja.
We deserve to have a minimum wage, better minimum wage for workers so that we'll be able to take care of their families. And we commend Mr. President for doing so.
That's one of the things that Buhari, I know he normally keep to his word. And we pray that he will keep to it and implement it as soon as possible.
I say it's okay so far it will help in alleviating the problem of the masses to an extent, because by the time the market people now hear that they have started, now even before we start to receive it, everything in the market will go up.
We have all been struggling for the minimum wage to be up, and therefore if the president has finally signed the bill, he should be applauded.
And if the federal government and Buhari as president could sign the 30,000 naira minimum wage into law, I don't see any reason why various states governments cannot do same. After all, who is giving them the money to pay the workers?
So with this increasement of this salary, it can be able to help the civil servants and those who are doing business, either small or large scale industry. They can be able to smile to the market, and those people selling those items too, they can smile.
Well, joining me now is the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Ita Enang. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Right, well, I see you dressed like a comrade this evening, so maybe we'll say Comrade Ita Enang.
Yes, I'm Comrade Ita Enang, and dressed like this, not in solidarity with Nigerian workers again, but in celebration with Nigerian workers.
I see. Fine. Well, the thing is, like our reporter said, with immediate effect, how immediate is immediate? In other words, when will people begin to see this new minimum wage?
The law takes effect immediately it is assented to. And so the act commences as at today that the president has assented to it. Therefore, there will be steps taken by appropriate persons, appropriate authorities to cause implementation of this act because it has come into force.
Right, there are issues of regularization raised.
Yeah.
Those who are already earning above the minimum wage, what is the position? I take that along with the fact that people would be looking out for adjustments so you don't end up with a situation where, you know, the least paid earns more than the next level.
I think the minimum wage is intended to set the basic minimum.
Right.
It is not intended to say, look, if the kind of work that your workers do is such that they ought to earn more at the minimum, they cannot. It is intended to set the minimum that you can pay.
All right. So in this case, when can those who will have adjustments, certainly to their salaries, begin to expect?
Honestly, it applies almost immediately. That is, every class of persons to whom the law applies. That is, every person in the public and indeed the private sector. And I say so because the law says the only persons who are exempt are those who are on commission, and those who are on part-time, then those who are in employment of a seasonal nature, like agriculture. Sometimes, somehow, there are those, sometimes in the construction, where you have construction season. I'm not, but the law specifically mentions agriculture. Then if you are working in a ship or aircraft, where the law regulating shipping and the aviation industry applies. Those are the only class of persons who are exempt. And if you look at the law, it defines employers to be any person who has engaged another person in employment.
Well, Senator Onnoghen, much as you would celebrate the signing of this bill into law, it's coming. The fact remains that it's coming some 5 years later than it ought to have. And if you look back at the issues of the law, it says this review has to take place within a specific period. Now that it hasn't, will that period be discountenanced?
What has happened is that the law that Mr. President has assented to has said that from the commencement of this act, the review will have to be periodically, and the period is every 5 years.
Does it set aside what existed before? Because the review period has always been set at 5 years.
You know, what the law has done is to repeal the former law. And once it has repealed that, there is nothing, unless something that has a proceeding or process that were commenced under it, now it applies from today and to all Nigerian workers.
We raise this question so that in the coming years, when this has to be reviewed every 5 years, someone else doesn't find an excuse not to review, and when they eventually do so, repeal, so that people will get their dues. That's what we're working at. This is sustainable, right?
It is sustainable, and I'm sure you follow the painstaking steps that President Buhari's administration had taken, setting up the committee, made up of workers, hearing all sides, hearing the governors, hearing the position of local governments, hearing the private sector, and taking all account of all factors relating to production, productivity, ability to pay, and the economy generally, the value of the currency, and the welfare of Nigerian workers, and of course, making sure that the least paid worker in Nigeria, in every sector, is taken care of. Mr. President and the National Assembly and the Nigerian workers decided, look, let us have an increase in the minimum wage. Let me use this opportunity to also pay special thanks to the National Assembly, because they did well considering it within a record time. And Mr. President also assenting to it, thus putting the Nigerian workers in a situation of celebration.
All right, Senator Itai Onnoghen, Senior Special Assistant to the President, the National Assembly Matters Senate, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
And let's just stay a little longer on labor matters. The leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, have rejected the planned inauguration of board members of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund scheduled for Thursday. Emmanuel Anyimiru was there.
Nigerian workers!
The protest by Labour was about an alleged replacement of the former General Secretary of NUPENG, Frank Kokori, already announced to be the board chairman of the NSITF since 2017, but now being replaced with another person by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige.
Underwent security screening. Up close to 3 years. Yes. They refused to inaugurate the board due to one reason or the other. Those reasons we can see clearly today. The main reason is that because they don't want somebody transparent to manage workers' money.
Any board that is inaugurated without Comrade Kokori being the chairman of that board is not acceptable to Nigeria.
You congratulated me more than 5 times. The president assured me in the last June 12th, Kokori will do nothing to you. I feel Ngige is on his own.
Yes.
He's dropping the name of the president. Yes. Not the president I know.
The belated inauguration, dated 2017, has been postponed severally. Labour and Nigerian Employers Constitutive Association are constitutionally empowered to nominate members to be part of the board. Labour and Employment Minister Chris Ngige, who scheduled the event, was not available for comment, but statement from his office indicated that the inauguration has been postponed. Emmanuel Anyimiru, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. We'll take a short break. We'll be back.
Inner strength? Yeah, that comes from the hard knocks that life throws at us. And we Nigerians, yeah, we know all about that. We don't stay down, we get up and fight. My name is Anthony Oluwafemi Olasheni Joshua. There's always been a big piece of my heart that's Nigerian. It always said to me, Never give up, dream big. Because after all, we come from a nation of warriors, man. And that's why I believe in Glow. We have that same tenacity, that Nigerian fighting spirit. To win, you've got to step in again and again and again. If you believe in yourself, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Yeah, I used to be a bricklayer in England, but now I'm heavyweight champion of the world. Niger, too much. Glow, a halo.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Await your safe arrival. A little patience goes a long way. Do have a glorious and safe Easter celebration. This message is from the Petroleum Tanker Drivers of Nupeng. Otumba Salmon Akoni, Chairman PTD Branch of Nupeng, announcer.
Can your milk do this?
Can your milk do this? Mine can.
With Hollandia evaporated milk, your ice cream, custards, and variations of beverages taste pleasantly different. Hollandia evaporated milk. Life tastes different.
From the House of Chi.
His Royal Highness the Emir of Mobi Alhaji Abubakar Isa Ahmadu CFR cordially invites the general public to the turbaning ceremony of Alhaji Ibrahim Hassan as Sarkin Dawaki Mobi, which will inshallah take place as follows. Date Saturday 20th, 2019, time 11 a.m. Venue Emir's Palace Mobi, Adamawa State.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Thanks for staying with us. President Muhammad Buhari says Nigeria enjoys a steadily growing and economically rewarding relationship with the Republic of India, describing the Asian nation as the biggest trade partner of the country. This was while receiving letters of credence from the new Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Abe Thakur. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that the president also received similar documents from the ambassador of Kuwait and the High Commissioner of Namibia.
Receiving the letters of credence from the Indian High Commissioner Abe Thakur, President Muhammad Buhari described as encouraging the highly beneficial relations between India and Nigeria over the years and called for not only sustenance but enhancement in the greater interests of their citizens. India, he explained, has helped Nigeria in many ways and is today the country's biggest customer in crude oil purchase. The president urged the new envoy to do whatever it takes towards maintaining the standards attained and improving on them. The High Commissioner Thakur promised that India will continue to stand with Nigeria shoulder to shoulder in all areas of mutual interest, including security. He also assured the president that he will work hard towards encouraging meetings that focused on reducing double taxation, attracting more foreign direct investments, and actualizing one of the Nigerian airlines' dream of 2 weekly flights to Bombay. President Buhari, who also received letters of credence from Ambassador Abdulaziz Mohammed Al-Bashir of Kuwait, said Nigeria's continued support of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries policies sometimes discourages assistance from developed countries with the wrong assumption that the country is rich. Nigeria, he said, had been pigeonholed as an influential and wealthy member of OPEC, saying, however, it will appreciate support in education, technology, infrastructure, and projects that directly impact on the lives of the people. The Kuwaiti ambassador said with his country having 560 developmental interventions under the Kuwaiti project spread over many African nations, Nigeria, which had been left out since the project started in 1961, will be captured. He said Kuwait also runs a charity that can be explored. Receiving letters of credence from the High Commissioner of the Republic of Namibia, Mr. Humphrey Desmond Gaisep, President Buhari commended the South African nation for consistently and steadfastly supporting Nigeria in all international meetings, thereby bringing respect and comfort. The Namibian ambassador said his country remains grateful to the Nigerian government and its citizens for tremendously supporting its independence, promising to improve relations in trade as well as exchange of people and ideas. All the envoys were on arrival at the seat of government, treated to a befitting diplomatic reception by officers and soldiers of the Presidential Guards Brigade. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And beyond formal diplomacy, the Buhari administration scorecard in the last 4 years has been presented to an audience at a breakfast briefing in London. Anthony Forson reports.
The audience is made up of investors, lawyers, members of the business community, and diplomats. The gathering under the auspices of Norton Rose Fulbright, a global law firm with interest in global industrialization, energy, infrastructure, technology, as well as innovation, is in collaboration with Woodrow, gave Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, the opportunity to tell the world the giant strides the present administration back home in Nigeria is making to pull the country out of the woods and also make it beneficial to other allies on the international stage. The President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is not skewing its agenda on the local turf, but working assiduously to regain its pride of place on the global scene.
Not only about the stability and growth that Nigeria has been experiencing, and the role that the administration's economic reform has played, but more importantly, about the opportunity that our country has to offer, especially to the UK, a nation with whom we have had a consistently strong relationship. While we watch with keen interest the UK's negotiation with the EU, we want to assure the UK that whatever the outcome of that negotiation, our ties with the UK will remain even stronger.
While Nigeria is living up to its positive rating among Committee of Nations, the minister used the opportunity to inform the audience that although there are still hurdles to scale in terms of economic reforms, financial inclusion, and stability, it will not be distracted.
Recent attempts by the opposition to discredit this election and undermine the democratic choice of the Nigerian people are deeply disappointing. They are also highly irresponsible. All domestic and international observers unanimously approved of the elections and concluded they were free and fair. We will not be distracted from our vision, and we hope that the opposition will join us in shaping a better Nigeria for the benefit of all of us.
With threats to lives and property, the order of the day 5 years ago, Nigeria today is a destination of choice, pushing corruption under.
Through strict zero-tolerance policy to corruption, as part of which the administration secured a number of achievements, Nigeria has become an advocate for transparency and accountability in the region, which has further strengthened our stabilized economy.
The minister maintained that even though oil remains an integral part of the nation's economy. Diversification, he added, is helping to grow the economy in no small way, as inflation, he said, has been on a downward trend with large increases in foreign reserve. In London, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with all Nigerians, especially Christians, on the glorious occasion of the celebration of Easter. In his message, the President says, Easter is the most important feast in the Christian calendar and represents God's redemptive mission over humanity, the triumph of light over darkness, hope over despair, and good over evil, and also a time to emulate the virtues of love, sacrifice, forgiveness, and endurance, which Christ embodied and demonstrated during his earthly ministry. While encouraging the bond of brotherhood and good neighborliness, the President expressed sadness over communities caught up in a cycle of violence and encouraged Nigerians to unite against the evil minority. President Buhari enjoins all Nigerians to intensify prayers for the country and promises not to take his re-election for granted, especially on the expectations of Nigerians. Similarly, the President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, has called on all Nigerians to imbibe the value of sacrifice in the interests of the country, as demonstrated by Jesus Christ, whose selfless service to humanity is being commemorated across the world at this Easter period. A statement by his Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Yusuf Olanionu, congratulated Christian faithful in Nigeria and across the world as they celebrate the Easter festivities. He expressed appreciation to Nigerians for their steadfastness and prayers, which have had immense impact on the peace, unity, and continued survival of the nation. He noted that the successful conduct of the 2019 general elections was a direct testament to the sincere efforts and prayers of all Nigerians. Saraki urged Christians not to relent in their prayers for God's positive intervention in the affairs of the country at all times. Well, today is Holy Thursday, also known as Monday Thursday, to commemorate historic events leading to the death of Jesus Christ on the cross. The Last Supper is one of the accounts of Holy Thursday passed on to generations. But what is the take on certain jokes on being careful with a betrayal kiss as done to Jesus by Judas Iscariot? Talatu Ezerike finds out in this report.
Spirituality draws man closer to the Creator. That is believed to be strengthened during fasting. At the commencement of the Lenten season, Christians are reminded that they were dust, and to dust they will return as they receive the ash on their foreheads. For 40 days, excluding Sundays, Christians are expected to fast and carry out other spiritual obligations of almsgiving and live a life of forgiveness and repentance. 19-year-old Dorsey 4 sees the benefit of the spiritual exercise she undertakes since the age of 6.
When religious tradition passed down from parents to children, all the fasting is about is discipline.
Dorsey, like many Christians, highly cherished the last week of the fasting period, known as Holy Week, ushered in by Palm Sunday. Clergy say the biblical account to the death of Jesus Christ on the cross is made manifest on Holy Thursday, a pointer to the Last Supper of Jesus with his disciples to celebrate the Passover feast of the Jewish tradition. At the Last Supper, Jesus Christ, as recorded, gave his disciples a new commandment, to love one another as he had loved them. He also commanded them to eat bread and drink wine in remembrance of him, a commandment the clergy say is followed to the letter with celebration of Eucharist at holy masses.
Left behind a church of people who hold firmly to faith in the things he said and the things that he did, and the importance of his death.
Another aspect of the last
the significance of Holy Thursday. Time now for us to link up with Michael Olale in our Lagos Center for more reports. Michael?
Thank you, Cyril, and welcome to Lagos. 19 suspects and 2 vessels have been arrested within Nigeria's territorial waters for arms and petroleum smuggling. They were apprehended during Operation Junction Rain, a combined effort by the United States and Nigerian navies to improve security and foster economic prosperity in the Gulf of Guinea. Dr. Ogunyemi has the details.
1 American, 3 Greeks and 5 Nigerians have been arrested in the smuggling of these sniper rifles with over 1,000 rounds of ammunition and military kits. They were apprehended during Operation Junction Rain. 100 ships were interrogated and 40 out of this number were boarded, out of which 1 was discovered to be smuggling arms and another involved in the smuggling of petroleum products was also arrested.
When they were interrogated, the captain made us believe that there were only 5 Nigerians on board. The boat was painted navy color, which made us to even suspect more. They were not shining their necessary electronic gadget at sea, which will indicate their position as stipulated by the International Maritime Organization.
Observers are saying that this is what the operation is all about, ensuring that illegal activities do not occur along the maritime borders of Nigeria.
There is no room for criminal operations at sea any longer. Any man that feels that he can come and disturb our waters, let him think twice.
We want to assure the public that we are going to have discreet investigation into this matter and the men will go to look accordingly.
The suspects have since been handed over to Interpol for further interrogation and prosecution. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
Football fans in Lagos had the rare privilege of experiencing the UEFA Champions League trophy and also watched the UEFA Champions League quarter-final matches, courtesy Heineken. Give George reports that football fans also watched the game with the trophy ambassador Carlos Puyol of Spain alongside the governor-elect of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. That is all we can take from Lagos. Nationwide, the news continues in Abuja shortly with Cyril. Stay tuned.
Data. We can't live without it. Share it. Impress with it. Borrow it. Sell with it.
I'm here. Calm down, breathe.
Celebrate with it. Breathe easy, knowing that with Glow, data is oxygen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the daring and invincible Louis the Mosquito. Responsible for 200 malaria cases all on its own. Is there anything that can kill Louis? Martin! Presenting Mortise Power Guard. Its powerful formula kills malaria mosquitoes fast. So, get Mortise Power Guard.
Darling, what's the matter? It's your birthday. Guests are already waiting at the pool.
It's headache, cold, pains all over my body.
Cold Time Anti-Cold Tablet contains powerful ingredients specially prepared to bring you fast relief from headache, body ache, cough, flu, cold, and fever. Baby, how are you feeling now?
Wow, I feel great thanks to Cold Time Tablet.
Cold Time Tablet also available in syrup for children. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. Cold Time Anti-Cold Tablet, a quality product from Embassy Pharmaceutical and Chemicals Limited. Cold Time Anti-Cold Tablet, your visa to healthy living.
Oga, open your full tank.
Hold on, please. Let me calm down.
Good evening, sir.
Evening. Hope you've rubbed off your meter.
Oh, Oga,
we no longer tamper with our coal dispense meter because it is cheating and corruption. I will always sell fuel to all customers at the correct amount because change begins with me.
Nice one.
Yes, how much I got?
Fill up.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
We're back in Abuja now. Former Vice President Mohammed Nambadi Sambu says he'll bring his experience to bear on improving the quality of education for the overall development of the country. Nambadi Sambu made the pledge after he was inaugurated as Chancellor and Chairman Board of Trustees of Bayes University, Abuja. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
Bayes University Abuja is fast expanding from just 17 students when it was established in 2011. It now boasts of more than 1,000 students and has held 3 consecutive convocations to award degrees to train students in different fields. To consolidate on the outgoing Board of Trustees' successes under the leadership of former Minister of Finance Ahmad Abubakar, the Pro-Chancellor and founder of the university, Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmad, sought the contribution of former Vice President Mohammed Nambadi Sambu, an architect, to serve as the Chancellor and Chairman of Board of Trustees, while former Head of Civil Service of the Federation and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mahmoud Yaya Ali Ahmad, and a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor Joy Ogu, Remi Akitoye, an agricultural economist, and a pharmacist and publisher, Sam Da Azaya, are members.
On behalf of the visitor, His Highness the Emir of Zazzau, I inaugurate this Board of Trustees of Bayes University.
Whatever I will do to contribute towards the achievement of addressing the challenges of education in Nigeria, I will do it.
We have been fortunate to have sought the attention of these high-value, successful, accomplished individuals. We have been fortunate they looked kindly our way and accepted to serve on our Board of Trustees.
Bayes University, which started with 3 faculties, now has 7, including postgraduate school. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
More news now from our Kaduna Center with Rukaya Umar Farouk.
Thank you, Cyril. Glad to have you join us in our Kaduna Network Center. The Nigerian Customs Service Federal Operations Unit Zone B, Command Kaduna, has arrested 5 persons and impounded a bulletproof Land Cruiser's Jeep valued at 118 million naira. Muhammad Umar Ajengi has the details.
Commodities placed on the Nigerian Customs Service blacklist are still getting their way into Nigeria through illegal routes. This bulletproof car was tracked down on the nation's highway around Saminaka in Kaduna State. Apart from non-payment of appropriate duty to the Nigerian Customs Service, the bulletproof car, valued at more than 100 million naira, has no document of approval from the National Security Advisor as required by the law for the purchase of such sensitive security vehicle. The controller overseeing the activities of the Federal Operations Unit Zone B Command Kaduna says the car was seized following intelligence report.
So that is why now we also have to devise our own means of apprehending them even when they enter the hinterland. It's legal. Wherever smuggled goods are found, it's legal for customs to arrest them, even in the markets.
Just last week, the personnel of the service impounded 2 trailers conveying parboiled rice sealed in maize bags. Operatives of the Customs Service called for public support with intelligence report to secure the country against saboteurs. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Jingi, NTA News.
As peace gradually returns to Kajuru in Kaduna State, the leadership of Kaduna State Peace Commission has called on all actors to contribute to the peace-building process. Benny Adams reports.
The Kaduna Peace Commission, led by its chairman, Archbishop Josiah Idowu Ferron, on a fact-finding and peace-building mission to Kajuru, met an existing peace and reconciliation process where the local council has asked all those that fled their homes during the crisis to return, as both parties have agreed to live in peace.
We want them to come back to the locality so that we can continue to mingle up together. Let us agree that we are going to stay in harmony with each other. We want to go into agreement now with them that nothing is going to happen again.
Stakeholders at the meeting appealed to Kaduna State government to intervene in the process of releasing their leaders in detention as part of the peace-building process. For those at the IDP camp in Kufana, one of the 8 IDP camps where the commission visited, their plea is that of reuniting with their communities. Addressing the press in Kaduna, Chairman of the Peace Commission, Idowu Ferron, observed that insecurity prevails in 8 out of the 23 local government areas of the state, a situation he described as worrisome, and appealed to members of the communities and security agencies to address the situation.
While we commiserate with all the victims, we assure the people of the state that these unfortunate crises will soon be curtailed.
Meanwhile, Kaduna State government has set up a judicial panel of inquiry into the Kajuru crisis aimed at bringing lasting peace to the area. In Kaduna, Benny Adams, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Kaduna. Back to Cyril in Abuja for continuation of the network news.
Right, thank you, Rukaya. Some sporting news now. Football fans in Lagos have had the rare privilege of experiencing the UEFA Champions League trophy and also watch the UEFA Champions League quarter-final matches, courtesy Heineken. Gift George reports that football fans also watched the game with the trophy tour ambassador Puyol of Spain, alongside the governor-elect of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
Beer brand, an official partner of the UEFA Champions League, Heineken, continued its Champions League trophy tour in Nigeria with a visit to the Nigerian Brewery's office in Lagos. Also on the tour was former Super Eagles captain Austin Okocha and 3-time Champions League winner Carlos Puyol of Spain.
I want to say thank you, and welcome to Heineken.
In keeping with his commitment to continuously bringing satisfaction to his numerous consumers and football fans in Nigeria, Heineken took advantage of the huge followership of the tournament to give the fans a lifetime experience of posing with the UEFA Champions League trophy.
Onnoghen coming down and really putting this together is a wonderful feeling, and the memories of this will last long forever.
To bring this one of the world's most famous trophies to so many places in the world, especially football-loving countries like Nigeria, who live and breathe football, I think is a wonderful thing. And so from UEFA's point of view,